So let's talk Backcountry. So Backcountry is a 2014 movie based on true events apparently, and this one stars Missy Peregrym. And the story is here we have a young couple basically used to kind of city life. They kind of want to get away from it all. So what do they decide to do? They're going to go camping for a weekend or so out in the country somewhere. It's some kind of national park. I think the actual park itself is fictional, but basically it's a kind of a large forestry area. And the guy, the male of the relationship, basically, he's a bit of a show-off. He kind of thinks, we don't need a map. I kind of know where I'm going. I'm, a bit of a man of the earth and all of that. So he takes some kind of unnecessary risks and to try and basically show off in front of his girlfriend, and thus getting him into trouble. And eventually these guys get lost and they encounter a very hungry bear who basically menaces them and, quite frankly, terrorises them for a period of time within the movie. And it's basically this tale of survival after that. Now, I have to say, my review is going to be a little bit spoilery in a little bit, so I'm pre-warning you now. If you don't want any spoilers, then go watch the film, then come back. Anyway, so let's get on to the positives and negatives. I'm going to start with the positives first, because I think this is a very, very well-made film. It looks fantastic. It's very well shot. I have absolutely no problems with any of the technical side of stuff. The photography looks great. Obviously, it's all kind of, set on location for the most part. And it's a beautiful film to look at. Great sound quality. I thought the acting is very good. Apart from one example, which I'll come on to, but for our leads, basically, I think are pretty good actors, and especially, I would say, Missy Peregrym, who you may know from, I think that's how you spell her name anyway. She's basically from Rookie Blue, among others, so she's probably the person you're going to recognise most here. But she does a really good job, I think, of creating a likeable and relatable character who you kind of root behind, and it is kind of not kind of an expert in any one thing, but just a real kind of like down-to-earth, relatable person. The boyfriend basically is well acted, but he's kind of a little less likeable because he makes some bad decisions along the way, which again I'll come on to, but it's well acted. The effects, I've got to talk about the effects here. Now the effects here are limited in regards to kind of visual effects and prosthetics and stuff. They use a real bear for the most part, so we kind of see an actual bear and kind of, I guess, along. So I guess some of the kind of more the close-up stuff, they must use puppets and stuff, but it's, it's undetectable. It looks like a real bear the whole time, basically. So whatever they did, it looks fantastic. But there are a couple of gore scenes here, and my God, the gore in this film is brutal. I mean, there's not lots of it, but what we do see, it is extremely realistic, I have to say. So hats off, because this looks absolutely savage. And you can kind of guess where this is going, basically, if you've, this movie's been described as Jaws in the woods. So, figure it out. So, fantastic looking, practical effects in regards to the kind of the gore and the kind of bodily dismemberment and stuff like that. So why do I have a couple of problems with this film? Well, let me get this on first of all, though. Although I do have a few issues with it, I would go on the record and say this is a good movie. Although I do have a couple of problems with it, and don't want to feel like I'm dragging it down. This is a good movie. Go check it out. But there are a couple of things. So, first and foremost, the male character. Actually, the two male characters. The boyfriend, first of all, although he's not bad, he's acted good enough, but his character is written in a way that he comes across as a little bit of a douche, because there's so many signs where he should have realised something was wrong. So basically, he decides not to take a map. He leaves the phone in the car. He basically, he sees a bear footprint and decides to carry on. He sees a corpse, all sorts of stuff. Loads of kind of signs that they're lost. They don't know where they're going. And there's this kind of, obviously, a large bear in the vicinity, but decides to kind of carry on regardless. Now, I guess you could say, yeah, there's stupid people in the world, and some people might do this. I mean, if you're a rational person, you probably think, I'm going to kind of kill it like it is. I actually don't know where I'm going. Let's get the hell out of here. But this guy just carries on. But if he is one of these kind of stupid people that will carry on regardless, it makes it kind of hard to root for him, I have to say. And he comes across like a bit of a douche. So there you go. The other male character I want to talk about is and this kind of ties into with my final criticism, was my major one. There is a secondary character played by Eric Balfour, who is this kind of this guy who's walking around the woods basically, and he's absolutely peripheral to the plot. He's his presence there is literally, you know, you can completely take it out and it will have no bearing on the plot whatsoever, basically. It's really just for padding. And his performance as well is really hammy. So that's my criticism about his performance. It just seems unnecessary and a bit of a hammy performance. He's kind of putting on this Irish accent, and anyway. So, but the other main criticism here, and this is going to be a little spoilery, so I pre-warn you. When you come down to it, there's a very little story here. Let me put it like this, okay? This film was about a couple that get lost in the woods, they encounter a bear, the bear kills one of them, and the other one runs away. That's literally the plot. So, you know, it really stretches out. So these scenes with this kind of like this character played by Eric Balflower, for me, are just padding, unfortunately. So it kind of makes it feel like to a movie length film. It's not a long film to begin with, but it's very extraneous to the actual plot itself. Now, when we get to the kind of the bear attacks, unfortunately, again, spoilery, there is really only one attack, and kind of there's I guess a short chase afterwards, but there's really only kind of the one attack, and I don't know, is it enough to make a film over? I don't think it is. So although I enjoyed the movie, it just seems to have, there's actually not a lot going on when you think about it. You know, this couple, they find the bear attacks them basically, and then one of them runs away, and then the bear is pretty much, that's it, you know. So, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of the kind of the having to deal with the aftermath of the attack, and basically, you know, not quite so front loaded with this kind of character building stuff, which it spends a little bit too long on. We don't even see the bear until nearly an hour into this movie. So, you know, you get the idea here that it's kind of a little bit front loaded with characters, and it's still engaging to a degree because I think the performances are good. But nevertheless, when you kind of watch the film and then you kind of think back at it as a whole, I think actually not a lot actually happened in this movie. When you kind of think about it, you would have maybe liked to have seen either a little bit of extended scene in regards to kind of the actual bear stuff itself, or the actual trying to survive the experience afterwards, essentially. So bear that in mind. So I know that's a little spoilery, but there it is. I have to kind of say it because that is it's my biggest criticism of this film. I still enjoyed it. I think it's a very well made, well acted, and well executed movie. I just don't know if there's enough plot here to warrant a film. And it would have been better as a kind of a TV episode of something, or maybe part of an anthology or something like that. It is still enjoyable, and it's largely down to the kind of the direction of the cast. I think the scripts maybe could have done with a little bit more, you know, pizzazz on it. I know it's a true story and everything, but you know, it's like they've obviously fictionalized the setting, so they kind of maybe could have added a few more events to kind of make it a bit more going on as well. I feel, but nevertheless, like I said, great film. If you can kind of get past those things, I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. Have you seen it? What do you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.